This is a German Shepherd who had been confined for 9 long years, suffering from severe illness, neglect, and regular beatings from his owner. When I first heard about his situation, I didn't hesitate. I packed supplies and rushed over, unsure of what I'd find but prepared for the worst. The dog lived in a cramped, filthy cage with only a flimsy sheet of metal above him, barely enough to shield him from the wind or rain. The stench, the decay, the loneliness, it was unbearable. Years of confinement had taken a brutal toll on his body and mind. As I approached, I saw it. A massive tumor had ruptured on his side, oozing and raw. The dog was visibly nervous, confused by my presence. He kept licking at the open wound, as if trying to soothe himself or perhaps just divert my attention from his pain. I gently spoke to him, hoping my voice might calm him, but he didn't stop. Then I saw his food bowl. It was black inside. I had no idea what the owner had been feeding him, or if he'd even been fed regularly. A wave of anger surged through me. How could someone be so cruelly indifferent? I put on protective gloves and slowly opened the cage door, hoping to offer him comfort. But the moment I stepped closer, he recoiled. His body stiffened. He bared his teeth and locked eyes with me, trembling with fear. Before I could extend a hand, he lunged, snapping at me. He wasn't being aggressive. He was terrified. This was all he knew, attack or be hurt. I kept speaking gently, trying to reach whatever part of him still believed in kindness. I reached out again, but each attempt ended in failure. Eventually, I had to back off. As soon as I did, he resumed licking his wound. His condition was rapidly deteriorating. We didn't have time. I called the owner, hoping he could calm the dog down, but the response? Cold, indifferent. He refused to come, and even suggested leaving the dog there to die. I knew I wouldn't be able to change his mind, so I offered to adopt the dog. He agreed, but only if I paid him. The price he demanded far exceeded what I had. I tried to negotiate. He refused. The moment I suggested a lower offer, he got angry and hung up. I stood there, torn, but then I looked back at the dog, his broken body, his lifeless eyes, and I knew I couldn't walk away. I opened the bag of food I brought and slowly slid a bowl toward him. This time, he didn't growl. He hesitated, then inched forward, and began to eat. He must have been starving. With every bite, his ribs quivered, and his eyes softened just a little. He was trying to trust, trying to survive. I fed him bits of chicken by hand. He accepted them, and in that moment, I knew he was beginning to let me in. After he ate, he curled up again, as if the light had already left him. I couldn't bear it. I called the owner again and agreed to his price, whatever it took. When I returned to the cage, the dog no longer resisted my touch. He didn't lash out. He didn't growl. He just stared. He hadn't walked in so long. His legs trembled beneath him. I gave him time to adjust, then gently lifted him into my vehicle and took him straight to the vet. But fear was still his armor. At the clinic, he growled and bared his teeth at every approach. He didn't understand help. He only knew harm. I explained everything to the vet. His condition was critical, blackened feces, signs of internal bleeding. They needed to run tests, but he wouldn't allow anyone close. We covered his head with a blanket to reduce his stress. The staff acted quickly, drawing blood, sedating him gently. The vet examined his eyes. His corneas were milky white with age. He was likely 8 or 9, which meant he had been in that cage his entire life. The tumor on his body was bleeding steadily. As the staff cleaned his wounds, I assisted. His fur was matted with dried blood. His paw pads were swollen and infected, the nail beds rotten from neglect. It was hard to comprehend how he had survived this long. The test results came quickly. His inflammation markers were dangerously high. He was anemic. His kidneys were beginning to fail. Surgery wasn't an option, not yet. His body was far too weak. First, they would stabilize him with fluids and medication. He needed nourishment, strength, hope. But he refused to eat. The pain was too great, the fear, too deeply rooted. To stop him from licking his wound, the vet placed a cone around his neck. After his IV treatment, there was a slight improvement. I cracked open a can of wet food and offered it to him. He devoured it, ravenous, desperate. As he ate, tears welled in his eyes and trickled down his cheeks. Maybe it was the taste, Maybe it was the kindness. Maybe it was both. When he finished, I gently laid down some cushions for him to rest on. I gave him more water, and for the first time, he looked at me with something more than fear. On the third day, I made bone broth, warm, nourishing, healing. This was just the beginning. The medical staff had to clean the dog's wounds every day. But he was very resistant to strangers, so each time they treated him, I had to be there. While I was grateful for the trust he placed in me, I still hoped he could learn to accept help from others. After several days of anti-inflammatory treatment, the tumor on his body had noticeably shrunk. The wound care was painful, and every day I silently wished he'd have the strength to get through it. Once he recovered from sedation, I brought him warm bone broth. He was clearly starving. I fed him a piece of meat first, then slowly picked the rest off the bone, feeding him bit by bit. His appetite was improving with each passing day. Today, he ate especially well. That's when I decided to give him a name, Rebirth. On the 6th day, Rebirth's condition finally met the surgical requirements. The vet scheduled the operation, and thankfully, it went smoothly. After surgery, I returned to visit him, with another bowl of bone broth in hand. Rebirth was becoming more emotionally stable now. He no longer lashed out or tried to bite out of fear. While gently tearing apart the meat, I fed it to him piece by piece. Rebirth loved meat, so, that day, I made sure to prepare an extra large bowl. But perhaps due to the pain from his fresh surgical wounds, he only took a few bites before turning his head away. His reluctance to eat and slow healing concerned the vet, so they gave him nutritional injections to help him recover. By the 9th day, I began preparing special nutritional meals for him daily. While the food simmered, I gave injections to the other sick dogs in the yard. Some of them had weak constitutions and caught colds easily. Thankfully, they were gentle and obedient, never resisting treatment. They'd quietly receive their injections and take their medicine without fuss, which made my work a little easier. Once everything else was done, I rushed to the hospital with Rebirth's food. He still wouldn't allow the nurse to touch him, so they couldn't clean the dirt from his body. I removed the lid of the food container to let it cool, then sat beside him, talking softly to rebuild our bond. Day by day, his body continued to heal. Worried he might be too hungry to wait, I first offered him something simple to settle his stomach. I gently wiped the crust from the corners of his eyes, then handed him the food. His appetite had returned in full force. He finished everything without hesitation. By day 15, Rebirth's stitches were finally removed. The doctor said he was ready to go home. After listening carefully to all the post-operative instructions, I took Rebirth back with me. He was calm in my arms, staying still and obedient the whole way. At home, I'd prepared a new bed just for him and temporarily kept him separated from the other resident dogs. He was clearly uncomfortable at first, his body tense, eyes wary. Rebirth had also become a bit picky. He didn't want dog food anymore, only meat. Because of everything he'd been through, I couldn't say no. I just kept preparing the meals he loved. He deserved that comfort. I look after many furry companions in my small yard. It's a lot of work. Every day is busy, but when I see the joy on their faces, every bit of effort feels worth it. When the resident dogs saw Rebirth, they ran over excitedly to greet him. I hope he recovers fully soon so he can join them in play. He's slowly adjusting to his new home now. Each day, he seems a little more at ease. Everything is moving in the right direction. I'll continue to share updates about Rebirth from time to time.
If this tale moved you, if you felt the tension, the heartbreak, and the triumph, please support our channel by hitting the like button and subscribing. Your support means the world to us and helps us bring more thrilling, emotional, and inspiring stories your way. Leave a comment below and let us know what you think. Do you believe dogs have an extraordinary sixth sense? Share your thoughts and personal stories with us. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.